is a lot of buzz around a new AI tool for pastors called Pulpit AI. Let's check this tool out together. I've never used it. This will be my first time, so we will both be getting to assess and review it together. I will also be sharing my thoughts on if I think it is good or not and how helpful I think it could be for pastors, particularly related to how to use it to enhance their content strategy and to reach more people. Okay, so let's get into it. You simply need to go to pulpitai.com, and right away, as a side note, I do love their website. I love this messaging. Turn one sermon into unlimited content. As a content creator, I love the idea of content stacking, and so their messaging is speaking to me. But let's go ahead and join. There are 3 different options. There's the free version, which I'm going to do today. The basic version, $29, allows you to upload 5 sermons per month. And then the advanced allows for 10 sermons per month. So, right away, I would say if you're a pastor leading a smaller team, or you don't have a lot of members who will be preaching throughout the month, maybe you don't have a youth ministry or a college ministry or other avenues where people may be preaching lots of different messages, the $29 option would probably be ideal for you. If you have more speakers and more sermons that are being created and shared within your church throughout the month, this really isn't bad considering the amount of users or sermons that you would be able to use utilizing this tool. But for us, I'm going to start with the trial, the free upload, 1 free sermon. Let's see what it does. Okay, so I just signed up. An email confirmation was sent, so I'm going to need to go there. All right, cool. So I am in Pulpit AI, and it's pretty straightforward. The first thing it's asking me to do is to start by uploading a sermon. So I'm actually just going to pull a recent video that I shared. For context, it was a YouTube video that I shared about how to preach for the first time as a beginner, but I think the concept will be the same, and this is the most readily available MP3 that I have right now. So you click the upload sermon button, find the appropriate file, and the upload process begins. Okay, cool. So just be aware, this was about a 10 or 12 minute video. And so processing will happen in about 5 minutes. So if you're uploading 20, 30, 40-minute videos, I'm assuming that the processing will take a bit longer. That's just something to be aware of. Okay, cool. So it did finish processing, and it took less than 5 minutes. I'd say more around like 3 or 4 minutes. So I'm not quite sure where to start. If I start here with the GPT, which would be cool to see how it interacts, hit the open, or I can go down here, I assume, but I'm going to just start with this one. Okay, cool. So it gives me summary options of the entirety of the sermon. It also provides some chapter breakdowns. So that's interesting. This is cool as well. Keyword ideas based off of the content, which I'm pretty familiar with keyword research and search engine optimization. So just looking at the hashtags that it generated, it generated relevant actual keywords and hashtags that I would want to use. I'm not saying I would use all of these, just copy and paste them, but it does provide some relevant keywords and hashtags that make sense according to the content that I would want to use on social platforms or even on YouTube as I'm uploading content. So that is good to see that it is accurate, intuitive, and smart enough to pick up on those things. I don't necessarily reading these summaries, that's the thing. I don't know how familiar you are with like ChatGPT, but sometimes it just uses language that is it's just reaching like I'm not going to say words like this. It's a treasure trove. It's going to give you a starting point, and then you're going to not want to just copy and paste. Same with ChatGPT or most other AI tools, if you've used any. You're going to want to work with it. So, for example, that phrase right there just stands out to me, treasure trove. That's a word that I'm never going to use or to describe my content, or even that's not a way that I would speak in everyday conversation. So you just want to scan through these things as well to make sure. But overall, I'm going to share some valuable preaching tips that promise to enhance the coherence and impact of your message. Again, like that's not exact phrasing that I would use, promise to enhance, but so you just want to be aware of some of those things. This is amazing too, that it provides the full transcript, because this makes the beginning stages of content creation and content stacking really possible, because and it's ideal because you want to start with long form content. And so being able to take your sermon and then quickly create a transcript from it, now you have options to create blogs for your website. You've got email content. Actually, I'm just looking here. You've got an email recap. Let's see what this does. Okay, awesome. So as I was saying, from the transcript, you could use that transcript to create some emails, or there's a feature called an email recap that literally breaks the transcript into what at first glance looks like an engaging email. This is a great feature. Again, you're going to want to read through this. You might not start something out by saying, "Dear church family," but it even provides a subject line as well. Super cool. Reflecting on Sunday's sermon, crafting transformative 3-point sermons. That's decent. But another thing that you'd want to do is, once you get this email copy where you'd want it, you could put a CTA in, or call to action saying, "Hey, check out the sermon from last week," and direct them wherever that sermon lives, whether that's on your website, YouTube, maybe there's a clip that you want to direct them to on one of your social platforms. But this is a really great time-saving feature as well. I am such a proponent for more churches utilizing email, and it's such a positive way to create engagement throughout the week, as long as you're not just sending them junk. And this could be one way to enhance your email interactions with your church. Okay, let's see what else. Okay, so far it seems you've got to populate this stuff. It's not already created just by clicking on these tabs, but it will generate once you go into that tab. Okay, so these are things that I would really care about, because I want to make sure that it's actually quoting things that I said. Yes, so this first point I completely agree with. The importance of an engaging introduction. Absolutely. Use the sermon body to validate the message through clarity and connection with the audience. Okay, again, the key points. This could be used to create, geez, as I'm thinking of ideas, I look over and see that there are already options for that. So my thought was, this would be a great way to begin creating like a small group guide or a study guide, but then there's already the option for that. And I honestly did not even see that. Begin a 5-day Bible reading plan and devotion. That's interesting. Again, this is not going to be something that you want to just copy and paste. The video that I uploaded was about engaging the heart through a 3-point sermon. Now, I did not provide necessarily any specific Bible references in that video. So it's interesting that it populated verses that it thought would be relevant. So again, you're not going to want to just run with this, but having the starting point is super powerful and time saving. I'm really impressed with this tool so far. This is the kind of AI tool that I like. One of my issues with using ChatGPT on the front end of sermon prep is I'm concerned that pastors could get lazy or not put much thought. And you think about the synthesizing and the studying and the process of preparation, what that does to your heart and your understanding. This is a tool that you use on the back end, where you really do want to use tools that just help you save time and stack content. I really like this. And if you're not happy with the output, you can ask it to reload results. So that is powerful as well. Okay, let's look at discussion questions. So it generated discussion questions, and let's see, it started with 10. Again, if you're not happy with them, you can reload results. But let's just look at some of these questions. Again, keep in mind, the video I uploaded was about how to preach a sermon for the first time if you're a beginner. And more specifically, how to preach a 3-point sermon if you're a beginner. So this first question doesn't make a lot of sense in context to that video, but That's okay. This looks like it could be a good question. Reflect on the process of preparing a sermon. How does investing time in prayer and preparation impact the delivery and reception of the message? And that's exactly what I was just referring to concerning AI tools being used to save time on the front end of sermon prep. Just typing in a prompt like, give me a sermon about how to forgive others. And ChatGPT and other AI tools will spit out a sermon for you. But gosh, what are you missing out on as someone preparing that sermon, digging into the word, praying through, even internalizing and realizing do you have your own areas where you may need to sort through some forgiveness? So I like that this tool is helping on the back end, utilizing the things that you've already worked, prayed, and processed through. Now it's just about utilizing the message that you've brought forth in a way that helps really broaden and expand the use and the potential reach of places that you can share that content in multiple different formats, in multiple different ways. So again, we're talking about using this potentially within small groups, study guides. You've got transcripts that could convert to blog posts, devotional aspects, and then let's look at social posts as well. This will be interesting, and I'm sure there will be a lot of people who are interested in this feature. Cool. So it pulls in like emojis. Oh, nice. Okay. So it's kind of like thinking as it goes along. So this is giving you copy for your captions. Are you a preacher looking to elevate your sermon and truly engage your congregation? That's not bad. Dive into the art of crafting transformative 3-point sermons with our latest offering. That's kind of weird. I wouldn't use that type of language, but again, all of this is going to give you a really solid starting place. Discover how to introduce your topic with impact, structure your points for a seamless journey of faith. Join us and tap into a wealth of preach. I actually don't like this one that much. I'm going to ask it to reload. Calling all spiritual leaders and communicators. Elevate your preaching with our latest resource on crafting transformative 3-point sermons. Discover how to captivate, connect, and call your congregation to action with structured, powerful message that fosters. I don't know what it is with ChatGPT, and I'm assuming that Pulpit AI is utilizing ChatGPT. I don't know what it is about this word foster. It freaking loves the word foster. I don't know why, but I can't stand that word. But anyways, again, not bad. It gives you some good starting points. Let's check out the highlights and quotes. Okay, cool. I could see this being another place where you generate ideas for captions. This type of stuff would be great on X, Twitter, as well. So the 3 components of a 3-point sermon: main subject, supporting points, and a call to action. Boom. Yeah, exactly. This has got some good tips, some good highlights. So this is another place that you could use to generate some good captions, some good ideas, some jumping off points for further content creation. Okay, there's one other place that I want to AI chat. Let's check this out. Let's see how, oh, nice. Some sample prompts on the side. Can you provide ideas on how to expand practical application for this sermon? Let's see what this does. And I want to say this too, like prompting really is a huge part of interacting with AI tools. And so it's a skill that you want to develop. And so these sample prompts can be really helpful for kind of getting your juices flowing and understanding ways that may be best to even interact with the tool in the first place. Let's see what some of these are. Let's actually do this. Pretend you are a pastor preaching for the first time. Based on the sermon I shared, provide a template that they could use to formulate their 3-point sermon. Okay, cool. I like that it provides the prompt that you shared here because it's easy to, especially if it goes away up here, it's easy to forget what you may be prompted, but this is cool. It created a template. Very nice. I'm seeing this prompt, and this could be another way. I'm not saying the only way. When you preach a message, you want feedback, and you want to be proactive in asking for feedback. This could be from team members, this could be from a group of people that you trust, but you want honest feedback. And honestly, I'm all for as many channels of feedback as possible. And so as I'm looking at these prompts, this could be another source of feedback. Are there suggestions to enhance the flow and transitions between different sections of my sermon? Which is so key. This is where so many pastors and preachers can fall off or lose their audience. It's in the transitions. They're not connecting one point to the next. And sometimes it feels like they're telling three different sermons within the one. And so this is what I would consider, this is an insightful prompt. Now, the response that it gives is yet to see, but that's an interesting prompt. I actually created other videos in response to comments to the video that I shared within this. So I shared how to create a 3-point sermon, but one of the questions that I got in the comments was like, how do I not get lost or get off topic while I'm preaching? And so I created a video about how to use transitions and the importance of transitions. And so that's pretty insightful that, it picked up on what techniques could I use to enhance the connectivity between these three components of a 3-point sermon. So I really like that. Yes, this is great as well. Are there specific strategies to ensure that each point of my sermon naturally leads? Again, so as you're uploading your sermon, you're going to be highly familiar with the contents of it. And there may be components of it where you're like, that didn't go like I thought it would. And it could be for some of these reasons. Maybe some of the points or statements that you were making, you needed to provide a bit more context. You needed to connect the dots a little bit more. So I definitely would recommend, if you decide to use this tool, checking out the prompts that it provides based on the content that you upload. Okay, I'm going to go back to the dashboard. And I just want to look at this GPT because we haven't been in there, so let's check it out. Oh, okay, so that's within here. So I can't copy and paste the entirety of the blog post into this prompt. And so what I'm wondering is, I want to create a blog post from the transcript. Please create a blog post using as much of the original content as possible without changing the words. Nice. Okay. Nice. Again, as I've kind of said throughout the entirety of this review and use of Pulpit AI, you're not going to want to just copy and paste this stuff. Like, I would never say mere act of speaking. You're going to want to make sure you go through it and adjust the phrasing according to how you would actually speak, or the type of language that your church might use or be familiar with. So, but it did take the transcript and broke it into some relevant sections. Again, so a really helpful starting place, and overall could be really time saving, especially, if you're a pastor, or maybe there's, you have a small staff. You could hop into this tool and really save some time. Especially what I really like is this email recap. I love that you could create discussion guides, study guides, small group discussions just based on the content very quickly. You can use the transcript to convert into a blog post, captions. Really, the options are tremendous. So you have a lot of options. You have a lot of ways that you can utilize this content, within the dashboard, between the email, the social script, the key points, all of those things. But then even what are some more ideas? What are some more ways to utilize this transcript? How else can I use it to create meaningful content for my church? Okay, so it gives you ideas as well. So the blog, social media, that's cool. It picked up on because it picked up on the type of content that I shared, which was about how to preach a sermon for the first time, it suggested a sermon workshop. So that's intuitive, that's insightful that it picked up on that type of content to provide that type of suggestion. Discussion guides, cool. Newsletters. Could the transcript be adapted into an ebook or book? Okay, so I'm going to share a tip that I think a lot of churches are missing out on, and it's using lead magnets to capture first-time guest information. Instead of inviting them to come into some room that they've never been in to get some gift that is more than likely cheap or cheesy, or hey, we've got a coffee mug for you, why not provide them with a resource that can actually help them solve problems? So think of them being able to scan a QR code to download a one-pager about 5 tips on how to improve your marriage today, or the 3 questions everyone has about God, but they're afraid to ask. And they exchange their name and email in order to receive the resource. Is you could create lead magnets based on your sermon series. So let's see how intuitive it could be with this. What would be a good lead magnet for this transcript to use to collect first time visitor information at my church? Okay, again, keep in mind, I uploaded a transcript about how to preach a 3-point sermon for the first time, but it's giving me a suggestion. Create a free sermon crafting guide on how to elevate your message. Are you looking to enhance your preaching skills and deliver sermons that resonate deeply with your congregation? Sign up today to receive our exclusive sermon crafting guide. It's giving you an outline for how you could create this. Now, what I would do next is ask it to, okay, this is really cool. So I gave it a different prompt: create a guide to help pastors craft a compelling sermon using a 3-point outline. Now, this could be a way for you to create these lead magnets as you're using them to share about upcoming sermon series, or to help visitors or even your congregation connect with the content in new ways. And so these lead magnets you could use during mid-service. Hey, if you're a first-time guest, check out this free resource that we've created for you. Scan this QR code and we'll send it to you right away. Or, you share about this resource on your social platforms, send them to a landing page where they can enter their information and then send them this resource. You could automate that process, but it helps you to create the resources based on the content that you're providing it. So this could be a really cool lead magnet. It picked up on the essence of the content and it provided me with a really quick resource that could be super helpful to someone that is maybe preaching for the first time, or wants a little cheat sheet that they can kind of just pull up on their screen as they're preparing for their messages. So I'm having a lot of fun using this tool. As I go back into the dashboard, again, there's the GPT that you can interact with. And then again, there's this menu of options that you can utilize. So yeah, that is a quick rundown of this tool. So let me jump in and just share my thoughts and overall review of this tool. Hey, if you already like what you've seen, use the link in the description that I put there for you to sign up, either to test with Pulpit AI or to use one of their paid versions. Okay, so I'm going to break my review up into 4 categories or aspects: overall, time, strategic, and value. Okay, so from a time standpoint, there is so much value in this time-saving component. You could get to a point where you're able to create a blog, a week's worth of social captions, a study guide, and an email newsletter within 1 to 2 hours. As someone who was a pastor for 18 years and someone who has created content within and outside of the church, without a tool like this, doing so would take hours and hours and hours. So from a time standpoint, Pulpit AI checks the box. Okay, the next aspect is strategy. This tool makes it possible for a pastor or team member to strategically utilize a concept that I call content stacking, which basically means utilizing one long-form piece of content to create multiple pieces of valuable content across multiple platforms and for multiple purposes. Again, Pulpit AI checks the box for me in this one. It could help a pastor or church leader create content for the platforms post-sermon that really matter most and in the places that they most want their content to show up in. Okay, also, from a price standpoint, I think it's a fair price. It would cost a lot more to pay an agency or a staff member to create even just the bare bones of the content that it makes possible. And so again, the price, I consider it to be a fair price, a reasonable price, and a valuable price. Now keep in mind, this version that I reviewed of Pulpit AI is an early version, and I'm sure it will continue to be improved, but it's already a useful tool from my perspective for pastors and church leaders in regards to being able to create valuable content for the platforms that they most want to show up on post-sermon. It really helps make utilizing the long-form content that's already been created as a sermon multi-use for multiple platforms. Okay, so if you're interested, use the link in the description that I put there for you to sign up, either to test or for one of the paid versions. And I'm curious, what other questions do you have about Pulpit AI or other tools like this for pastors and church leaders?